I'm going to be talking about a comic book, All-Star Batman and Robin, The Boy Wonder, Volume 1. It is Frank Miller, Jim Lee, with Scott Williams. And part of the reason I'm going to try to do this might be a little bit longer than a normal comic book review or just discussing it in general, because it has some of the best and some of the worst combination of the two that I've ever seen in any comic book. And it really is a shame because there are some things that are so good in here and then some things that are just so bad. So let's get started. I'm sure you have a picture there. Hopefully I've put a picture of the cover in it and you can see it. It's awesome. The artwork is for the most part outstanding throughout the entire book. There are many pages that just you could put on your wall, and I can't say enough about it. The artwork is some of the best that I've ever seen. A++++. But let's go ahead and get started to some of the meat of it here. We're looking at the first part is episode 1. This should get me killed, but it won't. And we have some excellent art. We see Dick Grayson as a boy doing his acrobatics with his parents. It's awesome. We switch to Vicky Vale in her underwear talking about the city. And this is actually kind of good because it's giving us a setting. It's setting kind of the tone, the mood for this world that we haven't been in. So actually I do enjoy this very much, where they're talking about Batman and Superman a little bit, and we're getting an idea of the world that they live in. And of course Bruce Wayne apparently calls her on a date. We don't know why though. So she's very excited about that. Gets ready, she's stoked. They're watching the Graysons, the flying Graysons, do their act. Batman noticed that he's impressed with the boy. And the first little odd twinge that we get here. He says a line, "Yeah, I've had my eye on him for a while. He's something all right." It's a little weird. Not that bad, just a little weird. You know, what's that up? What's up with that, Batman? Okay. He also says, "Why you've had your eye on him? I've got an eye for talent." A little weird. Batman doesn't scope people for talent in anything that I'm ever aware of. He's come to all of his partners just through circumstance. And something that is interesting is that she notices her reporter's instincts are telling her that this is weird, but she's too stoked to be on a date with him, so she doesn't notice it. So we've got the Graysons have finished their act. Everything's fine. They're showing off, and of course his parents get shot as they're saying their hurrahs on the stage. And I'm sure that this is supposed to mirror what happened to Bruce Wayne, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, why wouldn't it have been the accident that it typically is? It feels like this is trying to make things like a hammer. I mean, his parents falling to their deaths right there in front of him would have been, more than adequate. As I don't see what's gained by this except just making it more gauche, just more in your face, like brutal. Look at it, it's so nasty, right? Artwork stellar though. I mean, you can't complain with the artwork. It's awesome. Like, if you just imagine that, if looking at this as if his parents had fallen and died, it's awful. Okay, so anyways, have a little bit about Batman suddenly like ready to swoop up this boy for some reason. Kind of creepy again. And they're catching the bad guy or not, or he's getting away, as it were. Cops are taking the boy away, Dick Grayson, because in this world all the Bat cops are dirty. And, they're all crooked for the most part. Vicky Vale gets slapped. She's driving the what Alfred drove them to in the vehicle to the circus, and it's pretty clear the boy is in shock and that they're probably going to kill him. Then Batman shows up. And I have to say something at this point that, because I've already read the book once, and this strikes me as this is what Zack Snyder wanted to make his Batman like, I think. Like, this just screams to me this is what he wanted to make. And I'm wondering if this is what he used really as his basis for that Batman. Even this story, like you see in one scene where he drives his car like through the cops' cars, like through it. So I wonder if that is part of it. So it does make me wonder if he really intended to tell this story in a way, this world at least, which I actually do find the world interesting, coincidentally enough. I think the things that I find actually the worst are just the dialogue of Batman. Seems to be consistently the worst. Everything else seems to be pretty good in the book. Even, like I said, the world, the characters even, that sort of thing. So, but let's continue on. So, like I said, though, I do wonder if Zack Snyder, this is really what he wanted to make. And it occurs to me that if he hasn't seen this book, someone should show him. But then it also occurs to me that they might let him make this, and that would be like the worst. It would be like just so much worse, I think. I think Zack Snyder needs someone else to help him with the writing. Someone that's different than him, that has different ideas, but can use his visuals. His visual style can combine with really good writing and story. Somebody like Max Landis is always kind of what I've always thought. Like Max Landis should write the stories and Zack Snyder, be the director. And that would, I think, be the best combination of both worlds. But here we come to the end of the first part, and Batman's holding him up by his shirt in the air, saying, "You've just been drafted into a war." Now, this is kind of bizarre because Batman has never put what he does on other people. They always seem to just fall into this world and become part of it, but it's their voluntary decision. He doesn't draft people. He doesn't make people, because obviously as a young child, you can convince them to do anything, really. So it's not really fair that he automatically pulls them into the world, right? Because it is a child. They do not have their full capacity to make those decisions, especially after the shock of what's just happened. But again, the visuals are perfect. Here we have episode 2, There's No Time for Grief. Wonderful visuals, just magnificent, beautiful. And they're driving around in the Batmobile. Vicky Vale has gotten severely hurt from the prior incident with the cops and chasing after them and whatnot. Batman is being pretty nasty, really, for no reason. But let's see if I have a good line here. He seems to think like Dick Grayson. We do get a little bit of an idea of him. He says, "Wait a minute, that's not his real voice. It's like he's doing some lame-ass Clint Eastwood impersonation. That's not his real voice. He's faking it. He's faking it." And so Batman responds with, well, he's not responding, but what happens next is, "Sleep tight, punk. Sleep tight, my ward. Huh? Was it? What the hell's a ward?" And he tells him, "Shut up. I'll do the talking here." And here we have, who the hell are you anyway giving out orders like this? And Batman responds with, "What are you, dense? Are you retarded or something? Who the hell do you think I am? I'm the goddamn Batman." Now, everyone else should refer to him that way. The cops, the crooks, maybe even, the citizenry are terrified of him. But it seems just bad writing for him to refer to himself that way. Okay. And we have a little bit of a chase scene. And something else that he starts doing weird is he has Batman laugh maniacally. And in some of the panels that are in it, it almost looks like a Joker laugh, really. Like it's written to look kind of like a Joker laugh. So he's trying to appear insane, absolutely mad. And I'm not really sure what that is. Is it an act or not? Because, see, Dick alludes to the fact that the voice, and hence the whole persona of Batman, is an act. But he actually appears to be fully insane like that. And of course, the book centers entirely with him being as Batman, except for the small part of the date with Vicky Vale. And let's see. We have episode 3. They do some more talking in the car. If you pick up the book, which is well worth picking up, especially if you can get it cheap, used or something like that, just because of the art. And I really wish that it's almost like if you could paint out some of these bubbles and put some of the words here. Episode 3. A sweet young thing like me can only take so much. Here we have a nice opening shot of a very dismal looking bar, which is apparently being run by Black Canary. I'll try to include that photo for you. Mr. Lee did quite a good job on that picture. And she just gets in a fight with the drunks, beats up the drunks, it's whatever, I mean, come on. And she robs the drunks. Not really sure what that adds to the story exactly. She also steals somebody's motorcycle. And then they have this weird word, which I think maybe I read something online about this. We're back to Batman and who will be Robin soon, Dick. So he asks him, so what do you call this thing anyway? The Batmobile. And he responds with, that is totally queer. And he says, shut up. I wonder if that was supposed to be totally gay, or that's, some other slur like that of some sort. And they had to change it to queer. This doesn't fit anything else that's been said here. And I almost wish they would just left it out at that point if they were going to bother with that. Or if he just said that is totally weird or lame. Lame would have been better. I don't know. So then we actually get a little bit of Superman here. He seems a little angry, which we don't know why he's so angry, that finding out that Dick Grayson may have been kidnapped by Batman. But it actually does allude to that later. That's actually a case of a good setup in the book. Episode 4, Welcome Home, Dick Grayson. So, Vicky Vale is practically dying. They get to the Batcave. It has a nice little pull-out panel here of the Batcave. Very odd, though. It's very weird. Haven't seen that in years. And Batman seems to be wanting Robin, or to be Robin, to be impressed with the cave, that it's cool, and he's kind of like, I don't know. And he's checking out the cave. Superman is running on water. I think he was supposed to get a surgeon for Batman. Batman knows who he is for real, and Batman is very arrogant. He knows everything about everyone. They don't know anything about him. So he's got the upper hand on everything here. He just leaves them in the cave, which seems a little ridiculous. That, I mean, there's so much stuff around that, I mean, it's not like he's actually stuck there, but he kind of pretends like, I guess, feels like he's stuck there. Of course, Alfred brings him some burger. You have a little conflict between Batman and Alfred. And that's the one thing I don't think I like about this Batman, is how physical he gets with those that are close to him, like slamming him around and stuff like that. He never, that I can really remember in the comics, ever manhandles Alfred or Robin or anything like that. And in here, he's very cavalier with doing that to them. Not, especially after he's just been in an accident and everything. So again, is he insane? Is he actually crazy or not? He kind of wants to have it both ways a bit in the book. And he wants to play him as full crazy, but then kind of not. So here we have episode 5, I Love Being the Goddamn Batman. This is interesting. They have an interesting visual interpretation from Wonder Woman, which is Wonder Woman, but a twist on it. Wonder Woman refers to the people around her, the normal humans, as out of my way sperm bank, which is, I found it funny. She's very hardcore here. I actually really like the way she's been interpreted and drawn. She's very no nonsense and just ready to kick ass, so to speak. And they're all having a meeting. the Justice League. It's Green Lantern, Plastic Man, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They don't know what to do about the Batman. That's what they're curious about. And she's wanting just to kill him. And they're like, we should talk first. And it ends with Superman and Wonder Woman kissing at the end in anger. Her referring... I'll give you an example here. So after the kiss, Plastic Man says, get a room. Wonder Woman replies with, shut up. You boys go and give it your best shot. After that, it's up to me. And all your rules can go straight to hell, and so can you. I hate you all. And then Superman responds with, thinking kind of to himself, I guess, and to the guys that are left there. She's really a very nice girl. What I don't understand is, again, is she fully psychotic? Does she not understand rules? We don't have enough. There's not enough here to explain. Like, is Themyscira just ruled by a monarchy, and that they literally just chop off people's heads they don't agree with? So if too many Amazonians disagree, you just like, whoop, that's the solution. Fight immediately. It is a little much. Especially with no explanations given. So that part, I actually kind of like it, but it's also a little frustrating given that we don't know enough about everyone to interpret it, but it does have me intrigued. It's like, I'd kind of like to know more about this. What's going on here? Right? Okay. So here we have a Joker laugh. Him saying again, I love being the goddamn Batman. And he's out, I guess, fighting crime, looking for people. Very Joker laugh. I'll try to remember to include a picture of the laugh panels, but you can see it's very reminiscent of the Joker. You almost don't need a Joker with Batman this crazy running around. It's like, let's have him. What are they going to do when they meet? Is Joker going to be the sane, reasonable one, just doing evil things, and Batman's the crazy one that's doing good things? We do get a brief look at the Joker. As I understand it, the series was never finished and was very sporadic originally when it came out. So Batman beats up some guys, I guess, getting ready to rape a girl. Doesn't kill him, which doesn't make much sense because you'd think this Batman might be a little less, ready for that, given how crazy he is. But whatever. Have a little Alfred moment, which is kind of interesting here because it talks about how Martha was very, like Bruce, even as a boy, was very kind of crazy-esque in his attitude, that he was always an adventurer, running, jumping, always getting cut up and bruised and everything like that, which is very, actually, normal behavior for little boys, actually. That's not very odd at all. But it's odd that they put something there. But it is something that Alfred says is weird. And Martha was kind of fretting about it, and she was very much the warrior, and he doesn't feel like she knew her son very well. And he feels that Bruce, as a boy, became a demon, and now he's a dark angel grown to manhood. He's chosen a protege, an innocent young boy. He says, here, these two are reading from the book now. I pray this child will survive this. I pray my master has not gone mad. And here, this section ends with a very cool picture of young Dick Grayson in pajamas, holding, red pajamas, of course, holding a two-sided battle axe, saying cool. Now, that's kind of an example of an excellent piece of art, but he just pointedly was not impressed with the Batcave earlier, and now he's just holding a simple axe and he is impressed? Like, what's the thought pattern there? Like, what the only panels we have before that, he's thinking in his head. Batman works out of a really big cave. It's full of stuff. It's like a museum would be if a museum could breathe. It's full of stuff, and all the stuff is clean and sharpened and polished and ready to use. And he's holding the axe and says, "Cool." I feel like something's missing there. It's just not complete. So here now we have episode 6, and always throw in a smile when your dad. And we have a cool picture of looks like a pretty young Batgirl. And again, we're back in the rain, crime fighting. We have some Black Canary. Then we have some Barbara Gordon, and we get to see Detective Jim Gordon as well. They're interacting. We also see the mom that appears to be just kind of a drunk. We see that Barbara Gordon is clearly impressed with Batman and is going out as Batgirl doing her crime fighting. And apparently Jimmy Olsen works for the Gotham Gazette in this. So Vicky Vale, he comes to see her, some work-related stuff. Here we have Black Canary fighting some, I guess, would-be muggers or whatever. Stealing their money, of course. Batman's doing his thing. Got some more Joker laughs. He's pretty impressed a little bit by her. And she replies, "This is the appropriate thing. It's the goddamn Batman," when he comes to rescue her from getting machine gunned. Then we have episode 7, Let Me Take You to School, Suckers in Chemistry. I don't even remember that title. Striking Terror, best part of the job, he says. So now he's fighting them. Burns some up. Possibly alive. Again, it's a little brutality is pretty much on force here. And it's like some of these people that were burned, I believe there was some gasoline or canister. Or no, he's got some sort of gas or container like that. Let's see what it says. If it actually tells us what that is. Oh, bottles of bleach. And here I am with all this thermite. So he's made a chemical concoction here to burn them with. I mean, I'm assuming because, if burns are bad enough, they can kill you from the shock and the damage of the burns, even if you don't obviously, burn completely to death from the actual fire, just the shock of it. And it does appear pretty severe to these people in the panel. So this is, again, an example of kind of like the Zack Snyder Batman, where, wow, those people look like they'd be really hurt, possibly dead. And apparently they have sex, Black Canary and Batman, after beating those people, and as they are in the background on fire, burning on the pier, they have sex. I think. It's not really clear. Well, it says we keep our masks on. It's better that way, so I'm assuming so. Pretty sure Batman doesn't carry condoms around in his bat belt. So does that mean that there are potential lots of little bat babies running around all over the city? Because this is just a person he just met, right? Like, say, that's not clear what's going on. Again, in the context. And it is weird sometimes how the sexual elements, I guess, in this particular book are seemingly juvenile. Like you would expect a teenager, after having gotten into a fight or something like that, or go rob the store, wanting to have sex with their girlfriend or somebody they just met doing it. But not the Batman? I mean, his DNA is inside her. So now she can track him, right? She could retain that and use. I mean, I'm just saying the practicalities here. It doesn't make a lot of sense for a detective. All right, let's see. So they're driving around in the car. He killed a rat with his battle axe. Batman has brought back the man that killed his parents. He gives him a choice to kill him or not. And he doesn't. He just beats him up a little bit. Well, actually pretty bad, because if somebody's head's on the ground and you jump up in the air and stomp down, do pretty good damage. Ooh, episode 8. This is Love in My Own Special Way. And we have a picture of the Joker, who has a big dragon tattoo on his back. And again, this seems like an inspiration maybe for Jared Leto's Joker, because of all the tattoos, and he's trying to look... I mean, he does look Leto-esque. He's a little more muscular, though, but you can see where the inspiration may have come from. Man, as I keep going through this book now with the idea of Zack Snyder, I really do wonder if this is where they got a lot of their ideas. Because even in this one, he has little pointy ears, and he's got a big black... And I know it's supposed to be... It's Frank Miller, so it's supposed to be kind of almost like a prequel to the one that they said they based it off of. But even this design of the Joker, while actually isn't the same, using the ideas of the tattoos and things like that, may have come from here. Perhaps. When was this thing published? Let's see if I can get a published date on it. I don't want to have to pause it. And let's see. 2008. Oh, copyright 2005, because it did come out in issues 1 through 9 originally. So, maybe so. So we have some Joker stuff. And honestly, this is actually kind of boring, because he's just, like, had sex with a lady. And who is it? She's an attorney with a particular passion for hunting down child molesters and bringing them to justice. He says, by most accounts, you are a remarkable woman. I admire you. I really do. I love you in my own way, in my own special way. And then she gets suspicious, but of course he ends up killing her. Just choking her to death. With a tie or something like that. And then we have a very bizarre panel where he tells, I guess, a flunky to get rid of it. And she says, right away, yes, boss, right away, boss. It is a lady wearing black leatherish pants with long black gloves, wearing no shirt, nothing for the torso, except on her boobs there are these red swastika type things. Maybe that's a character I'm unaware of, but that doesn't seem very covert, and that would leave a sore trail. Of course, he's wearing a purple suit with black stripes as well, so maybe, I don't know. Just, like, who's that? That seems bizarre and weird. Is that supposed to be a Harley Quinn of some version? Because it does have short blonde hair, but I kind of doubt it because she's saluting him. I don't know. Okay, so they're having a little talk here. And this is very bizarre. So he's going to take him under his wing, be his protege. And I'll just read this section. It's Dick Grayson first. So why a mask? Why in hell do I need to wear a mask? I mean, a costume is queer enough, but why a mask? So you'll have a secret identity, stupid. So nobody will be able to find you when you aren't working. So they won't get a chance to kill you. You'd be no use to me as a corpse. And Batman then thinks in his head, damn, this brat's starting to get to me. What am I doing? Playing father? This is the dumbest move I've ever made in my whole life. But well, of course you're going to be his father. A father figure. I mean, that's the stupidest thing on planet Earth. What do you think would happen? Alright, so he's going to design his own costume with Alfred's help. And here's a bizarre thing. He says, I can't wait to get away. He's thinking as he's driving away in the Batmobile. I can't wait to get away from that little snot. He's driving me nuts with all his damn questions. And I'm plenty crazy enough as it is. Aw, nuts. I'm talking to myself. That's never a good sign. But he's been talking to himself the whole book. Doesn't make any sense. Have a little Green Lantern action. And it's interesting. He decides on his name, Robin Hood, from a character that he admired as a I guess as a hero, Robin Hood. Meets Green Lantern, tells him he's going to meet him later at a certain time and place. And he does make a good point, though, that this Hal Jordan is dumb. Because he's got the most powerful weapon in the whole universe, probably, that ring. And he makes stupid things with it, like oversized egg beaters, mouse traps, vacuum cleaners. And then he shines a big flashlight on him. And he's like, wow. Or whoa, here comes a big flashlight. Very inventive. Emerald Crusader. So it does show. And I think it is poking a little bit of fun at the older comics a little bit. Like, you have this huge, this powerful ring. It can do anything you can imagine. And you're making stuff like a baseball bat and a boxing glove and a vacuum cleaner. It's like, that's ridiculous. And I understand. I enjoy that, actually, the poking the fun. And in some ways, I do feel like this book is almost a parody. It's almost like it's a dark, gritty version of the Adam West Batman in an odd way. Because it's so ridiculous at certain points. Like when he says, I'm the goddamn Batman. Or I love being the goddamn Batman. Those kinds of lines. It's like, I almost want to laugh. I almost feel like it's a comedy in a way. So then we have... Now this is bizarre. Batman gets back to the Batcave. Robin shoots an arrow at him. At Batman. Almost hits him in the neck. He catches the arrow. What the hell is that? It's not like he gave a yell out or anything. That could have easily just shot him in the head. I don't understand. Was he trying to kill him? Was he testing him? It seems an awfully hard test. Shooting somebody from in the dark when they don't know you're there. And I'll even avoid trying to catch an arrow. I think there was a Mythbusters actually about this. It might be possible to do it, but it is by no means like you're not going to be able to do it in the dark when you don't know somebody's shooting at you, kind of thing. Not like that. Not without superhuman powers. So that's kind of ridiculous all the way around. He probably just had him catch it because he wanted it to look cool. Which it does. But it's a little ridiculous. And this is where we get to the Adam West kind of parody a little bit. It's almost like, that's just so ridiculous. Like, why didn't he just, shoot a flamethrower at him or something? Or knock over the T-Rex in the Batcave and try to squish him with it. It's almost parody, like I said, levels a lot. So, he wants to be called Hood. And Batman grabs his hood and yanks it down over his head and says, you got to drop the hood. And he says, you're going to be called Robin. Which is a good way to get the name. So he likes Robin Hood. That's where he got the name for the inspiration from. He wanted to be called Hood. Batman ixnays that and instead goes with Robin. Episode 9. Of course we're criminals. We've always been criminals. So the point of this episode, this episode of the book is it's a meeting between Batman and Green Lantern. He already knows the weakness of the lantern ring is the color yellow. So they have spent some time painting an entire room in like an abandoned house yellow. Everything's yellow. Their costumes are yellow. And of course, because this Batman is, I guess, kind of an asshole, he even is drinking lemonade, which I think that's just to make Hal Jordan even angrier. And they get into a fight, which is could be an interesting discussion given a different world where... Here, I'll just read one of his lines, and this kind of gets it. Get off your high horse, will you? We're all here to help people, okay? So you go after bad guys, you go after... Fine. It's your methods we find repugnant. More of your victims, and yeah, that's what I call them, victims, wind up in the hospital than the jail. Every time I turn around, I hear about you smashing some lowlife femur or shattering a cop's jaw. And Batman replies with, have you taken a look at the Gotham's crime rate lately, Hal? Never mind the corporate stuff. I'm not taking them on just yet, but the streets are safer even from the cops. Batman continues, "You really should try the lemonade on a hot day like this. It's a godsend." Jordan replies with, "Damn you and your lemonade. They'll bring us all down because of you. They'll think we're all as crazy as you are. You've already got half of them calling us criminals." So, Hal punches Batman a little bit. And this is where he brings up because he's gotten him mad. Batman doesn't really seem to care. He's thinking that he has kidnapped a boy and is now raising him as his teen sidekick. And it's actually kind of funny here where they play back and forth with Robin interjecting that they actually have some good evidence, and they show him that they're just treating it like, well, this isn't Dick Grayson. Like, why would you think that? That's so weird. And they show where he's kind of dumb. And it makes him even angrier. Then Batman says he's getting ready to tell him a whole yarn story. A whole story about how he finds this guy in Istanbul or this new Robin and all this sort of stuff. But he decides he's not going to. He says, "I just can't do it." He says, "Tight's got to count for something, right? Just don't feel right lying to you." And then, and one very nice point, Robin has, I believe it was Robin, has snatched Green Lantern's ring. He doesn't have it, and so he's real mad about it. And he gets in a fight a little bit with Hal Jordan. Robin does, and he hits him in the throat. And I believe, given the corresponding panels, he collapses his larynx. So it's going to, he'll die here shortly in a minute or two since he can't breathe. Now, this is where the book gets weird, because he grabs him and he flings him into a wall so hard that the wall behind him cracks. And then he just outright punches him right in the face, hard. Now, this is very bizarre all the way around because, Dick had the opportunity to kill his parents' killer, and he chose not to. So why, when they're just goofing off with Hal Jordan, because they actually are just kind of goofing off with him. He's not, even though he has this ring, he's not actually a threat or anything remotely like that. And why does he just kill him? Did he not realize that hitting him in that area would do something like that? That could be lethal? We don't have enough to understand. It doesn't make any sense. Because he's not that bloodthirsty if he didn't want to kill his parents' killer. So, this is where he finds out that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Batman gives some very precise instructions to Robin, which he follows. Now, here's an interesting part. This is Robin thinking, "I almost killed a man tonight. A man who never did me any harm. And I enjoyed every second of it. More than I've ever enjoyed anything. I wanted to kill him. My tongue's all swelled up and my throat's gone so dry it's like I've got razor blades stuck in it, so I don't talk either." So are we to believe that even though he did not want to, he chose not to kill his parents' killer, that he just enjoys killing for sport or fun? Did he just get caught up in the moment? Which actually, for a young child under these stressful circumstances, would be understandable. But it wouldn't be understandable that, you do need some sort of training if it's not just an accident. And we don't have enough context again. Was he just excited? Was he just having fun? Did he knowingly do all that and choose to kill him? Or was it just in the heat of the moment? He is a young boy. Again, I don't understand this. Because if he has enough ability to control himself when he has his parents' killer at his mercy, but he can't do it when they're just goofing off with Hal Jordan, the idiot. So Batman takes some responsibility for this. Of course, he's kind of brutalized the boy also at this point. So they go to their parents' graveyard, or his parents' graveyard, Dick's parents, and they grieve. Now, as I understand it, I think there was actually one other book that came out after this one, but this collection doesn't have it. And by the way, this alternate cover gallery, I don't think I'm going to include any pictures from it, but they're awful alternate covers. But the real covers are fantastic, just spectacular. And that's kind of where this book ends at that point. So they just introduced the Joker. They were obviously, I think they did intend to make this a whole series and continue it onwards, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen at this point. And maybe that's for the best, even though I have to say it's entirely worth it just for the art. But the story, the only thing that happens is he recruits, I guess, drafts Dick Grayson into fighting crime with him. And they have a confrontation with Hal Jordan. And of course there's some other minor criminal incidents along the way. And Batman sleeps with Black Canary briefly on a pier with burning bodies in the background. That is such a mishmash, that book. And of course I didn't read every single thing. I mean, there were smaller points in there and all. But I don't know what to make of that. Like, I really want to sit down and ask them, like page by page. I want to go page by page and be like, okay, why is Vicky Vale talking to herself in her underwear? I'm not opposed to that. But why? Why does Bruce Wayne ask her out on a date that night? Why doesn't he just go to the circus? Why her? Why did you have his parents... Why is he, like, watching this kid like a creepy guy? That's weird. That's weird. Got an eye for talent. That's weird. Why do you have him shot in the head? What do we gain over them just falling through the rigging being, tampered with? And then just over and over and over and over, just every panel, these questions. But some of the things in here, like I said, I kind of like the world. I'm kind of interested in it. I kind of like actually all the people in it, except for Batman. And I'm not sure really what to make of him. I don't mind the brutality of Batman being brutal with the people necessarily, but he's also brutal with those that are close to him. And I think that crosses a line that says this isn't really Batman. This is called Batman, but this is actually, I suppose, Frank Miller's idea of another superhero. Take off the Batman label, and you could kind of put this in like a Sin City story. Call him the Masked Marauder. And you could get rid of the Batmobile. Just call it the Marauder Mobile. And you see that it is a thin veneer of Batman, but I think they did miss some of the essential parts to him. And it's not just the brutality. Like, that wouldn't make any sense if Batman was just brutality. If he was just about hurting criminals. And what appears to be for fun, because he enjoys being the goddamn Batman. That's fun for him. And I don't think the normal Batman that most of us kind of have in our head thinks that being Batman is fun. It's his duty. It's a responsibility. It's kind of like a holy quest. It's beyond fun. And that's why we can respect Batman in a way, even though he does skirt breaking the law and works outside of the law, is because he is working to something noble at the very least. Whereas in here, I mean, yeah, he beats up some rapists and some criminals, and he catches a guy that killed Dick Grayson's. But, he doesn't appear... His callous disregard, I guess, for everyone around him, including his loved ones, does seem a bit too much. Like, why isn't he actually just sadistic? Which he almost is. And like I said, it's almost because the way he abuses Dick Grayson. But I think one of the points of the Batman kind of that we imagine in our heads, or at least that I imagine, is that a great brutality was done to him. And he wants to stop that brutality from happening. He doesn't necessarily want to propagate it. He understands that at some point you do have to meet brutality with brutality. But you don't meet those that do not bring brutality with brutality. Like, that wouldn't make sense. Because then you're really no better than a thug. You're just spreading brutality all over the place. You're just spreading evil all over. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. Sometimes. But that's where the Batman comes in. He actually is supposed to be using his brain, right? He's the detective. He outmaneuvers even the criminals. It doesn't always have to be brutality versus brutality. Fighting fire with fire. Sometimes you can do it smarter than that. With the gadgets and the planning and the maneuvering. And like I said, I don't know what this Batman's necessarily going to... I mean, he still does protect the innocent, I suppose. So, I mean, you do have that. He doesn't... But see, that's when we blur the line, because he does brutalize, really, Robin in the story. And unfairly so. I mean, really is brutalizing him. Physically, and given what just happened with Robin's parents, emotionally. And that's, I think, probably my biggest point that I don't like with the story. I don't like how he seems creepy on Robin, and I don't like how he brutalizes Robin, and then kind of Alfred in a small way as well. I think if those three elements, everything else I could live with. Because like I said, when he calls himself, I love being the goddamn Batman, that makes me want to laugh. It's a parody. It's almost like, okay, you're being a little goofy here. Okay, that's fine. I can take a laugh at it too. That's one of the things that, I'm not a big Adam West Batman fan, but one of the things I can appreciate about it is that he always plays it straight, and the jokes are all around him, but Batman plays it straight, and that Adam West does. And I can appreciate that. It's good. I think it's done in good humor. But here, like I said, at one point there isn't a line where he says, "Stop it, no doubts," because he sees the boy, and the boy's looking pretty bad at one point. "Remember the mission. Nothing matters except the mission. He doesn't matter. You don't matter. Nothing matters except the mission. Pray he's up to it." Okay, well, what's the mission? Fighting crime? I don't know. Like I said, I think I'd probably actually really enjoy the book beyond the art if he didn't brutalize Robin and Alfred and he wasn't creeping. But I am interested to see what the extra issue, I think that one issue that they did come out with, whatever else it contained, and maybe at one point I'll be able to get a hold of that. Probably won't make a video. I don't think it'd be worth making a video, but certainly if you can get a copy of this for like $10 or something like that, maybe even 15, highly worth it just for the art. The art is spectacular. I can't say enough about it, that it's just wonderful. I will try to include a few pictures of that so you can get an idea of it in there, and just be prepared that the story is okay, nothing spectacular, but the dialogue is kind of almost so bad that it's kind of funny and ludicrous at some points, and be prepared for brutalizing Robin. If you have any questions, please ask them below, or if you have any comments, if you know what happened in the part of the extra issue that came out that I never got to read, I'd love it if you included just a small comment about what goes on, if there's anything that can add to what was been covered in this book. You have a good day.